This is International DJ Cypher in the Mix.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. I would like to welcome everyone for the second edition of the FinTech and Payment Institute's monthly webinar series. My name is Betty Akest, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for today's session as we continue our journey of exploring the latest trends and innovation shaping the FinTech landscape. Our topic for today, the customer experience in the digital age, is particularly relevant as we navigate the world where digital interactions are not just a norm, but a critical component of customer satisfaction and loyalty. We touched on this briefly in our first webinar, so feel free to go to our social media handles and you'll get a recording there. So in this session, we'll dive deeper into the strategies and tools that are transforming customer experience, so from personalization to omni approaches and the likes. Okay. We are fortunate to have with us three distinguished experts who will share their insights on this vital topic. Each panelist will bring their wealth of experience from different sectors. So we are going to treat banking, fintech, and insurance. First, we'll hear from our panelist, Kweku Obeng, who will discuss customer experience, and he will give us relevant experience or information from the fintech industry. Next, we'll have Alberta Boateng, who will share insights from the banking sector. Finally, we'll wrap up with Edith Lawson Atinga, who will provide perspective from the insurance industry. Each panelist will have 20 minutes to present, followed by a 30-minute Q&A session where you can directly engage them. But before we begin, just a reminder that this session is being recorded and it will be available on our social media handles for future reference. All right, so without further ado, let's kick off with our first presentation. Please join me in welcoming our first panelist. He is the Manager, Partner Experience Center at Insano. He has 15 years of experience in customer management. He's led multiple cross-functional teams and initiatives that boosted customer satisfaction. He's skilled at crafting seamless journeys and using data to anticipate customer needs. He's an advocate for fostering culture of ongoing enhancement in customer experience. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Kweku Obeng. Kweku, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so please you can share your screen and then give your opening remarks. Yes.
Okay. Just a moment.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Can put it in the presenter mode. Okay. Great. Perfect.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me. I would be speaking on customer experience in fintech. Let me be quick to add that the principles governing customer experience does not really change much, except that the industry or the place you find yourself will define the approach you would deploy in achieving the objectives of customer experience. My focus here will be looking at how we can minimize the customer efforts, create a seamless process, drive emotional connections, and also enhance customer loyalty. Now, the baseline will be to ask what will be the value proposition we'll be providing to a customer when we set up to do customer experience. Now, for a company, for example, like a Coca-Cola, I have not seen an advert where they will showcase where they do their processing, etc., etc. Their adverts will seem to tell you about how happy you will be when you're enjoying a Coke. It will create an environment where you see people are very happy. The value proposition is that you can enjoy it in the stadiums and you will be happy. Customer experience also has a value proposition, and that is to create satisfaction to customers or partners, and in so doing, create a situation where you would have retention and you have growth in your revenues. To continue, I will be looking at what I define as customer experience in the fintech space. Now, my definition of experience starts right from the journey process of a customer. So I am saying that the satisfaction must be intentional, and it starts right from every touch point, which includes the onboarding process or the awareness stage, the onboarding process, the adoption and usage of your product or services by your customers, and then the ongoing support you provide to your customers, the relationship management approaches that you deploy, and even performance evaluation, which will give you a sense of how you are faring. Now, to be able to do this, obviously, you have to be proactively anticipating what your customers or partners are looking out for. And you must be intentional in creating seamless interfaces where your customers interface with you. Now, in this age where data security is also paramount, you must also ensure that you create a robust environment for data security, and also create an omni-channel accessibility so that people can interface with you anywhere they want to interface with you. Again, you would have to be intentional when it comes to the approaches that you would want to use. Now, for me, in driving experience, I would base it on 4 key things. One is you must be able to integrate your technology very well so that the people who work in the experience center would enjoy the work they do. Now, you should be clear when it comes to the processes that you have defined for problem resolution or complaint resolution or rejection handling. And the people, which is the experience team, you must also be deliberate in hiring them. And again, you must be deliberate in understanding the needs of the customer through research. So you must be thorough when you are handling your research, and you need data analytics to be able to do that, which will give you a sense of what your customers are looking out for. Now, how do I set up such a program in a fintech? One key point is for me to be able to define clearly the objectives of setting up an experience center in the fintech space. Now, we need to understand what we are setting out to do, because it will inform us on what technologies we'll be deploying, the people will be employing, the kind of processes we will be also deploying. So a clear definition of your objectives and KPIs must be clear to everyone who is working on this project or setting up the CS program. And that would help you in putting people in the right places and understanding what is necessary to be achieving the objectives. Now, we need to also leverage on technology to support the partners or customers. Now, in our world today, customers want to interface with you on social media. They want to interface you on the web. They want to interface with you even on the chatbots, etc., emails. You will need a system that would be able to integrate or coordinate all these touch points and seamlessly should be able to, if you like, decide that I will not use this channel again, I will use the alternate channel, etc. We need to deploy those tools. So omni-channels, CRM, relationship tools that will keep data right from onboarding must be an important part of the whole process. So you need to deploy a CRM. In a B2C environment, customers also want to have self-service tools where they are able to raise tickets by themselves. They are able to even request for services from their apps, etc. You will need a data analytics tool, which would help you to be able to analyze the data that you have collected. And that would inform, even when it comes to your scheduling of your team, you would be able to tell which times are your peak hours, off-peak hours, what are the pain areas customers are complaining about, etc., to be able to assist your partners. Now, the team, again, you're hiring must also be interested in the CX program or objectives that you set out to do. And you must be deliberate in offering a continuous training to equip the team, because otherwise, if they are not well equipped, what you are going to do is to increase the wait time for complaint resolution, and that will lead to customer dissatisfaction. We also have to be intentional when we create the team. The team normally for experience centers do not sit in isolation, would interface with your finance, you will interface with technology and other departments as well. If you're unable to collaborate with these departments, what happens is that issues that can take an hour to be resolved will now take days to be resolved because there's no collaboration between the teams. And we will depend on these teams to be able to offer solutions to our customers. Now, your standard operating procedures must also be clear. When issue A happen, if a customer complains, if it's a B2C, for example, and the customer is complaining that he's unable to use his app to send money, I should have clear process that defines where I should go. What do I tell the customer? What SLAs do I provide to the customer when it comes to when he should expect a resolution to happen? I should be able to tell all this in my SOP, and that would define how I would handle my customers. Now, an escalation process for complex issues should also be clear, so that when an issue falls outside what we have defined, what do I do? That process must be defined, clearly defined, so that the agent or the partner experience person knows exactly where to go when he's faced with these challenges. Now, to be able to scale up, you must measure. And when you measure, the feedbacks or insights you glean out of those reports should be able to tell you where to optimize. So, for example, assuming that you are in a fintech and you have a product that connects to individual customers, a B2C kind of environment, and you have customers calling in, and in your peak hours, customers will have to stay in the queue for, say, 15 minutes. Clearly, the experience is bad because a customer has to be in the queue. The IVR has to keep the person for that long period before he's connected to an agent, before an agent would then ask all the necessary questions to be able to. So from onset, the customer will not be happy. So what do you have to do in this case? Do you have to relook at your schedule? Do you have to maybe get more hands? Do you have to deploy technology that would hold these customers, or a chatbot that would even provide simple Q&A questions, so that you do not pack the call center or the experience center? Now, you need to explore the technologies that are available to be able to do this. We need to also pay attention to industry, the trends in the industry, and also celebrate the team members when they are doing well, because it also boosts their, if you like, confidence to be able to deliver what they have to deliver. Now, going on, I would proceed and look at what tools we want to create this kind of experience for our customers. As I mentioned earlier, you will need a CRM. The CRM should help you have data, collate data. And once you have a CRM that sits in a centralized depository or repository, this information would help you to be able to appreciate your customers. Now, if you want to go on a personalization drive, for example, and have customer information sitting in your CRM, in today's experience, you can have your CRM even connected to the omni-channel tools, so that if a call comes in, the name of the customer even pops up for you to even address the customer by name. Introducing yourself and asking the customer, may I know your name? You would have a clear understanding of the, you will have information regarding the name of the customer. And when it comes to the history of the customer, the agent has an understanding of the history of the customer. Where has he been connecting to us? He's been connecting on social media. He connected on X. He connected to us the last time he visited our website. All those history will give you an understanding of the preferences of the customer. Now, examples of these tools, you have tools like Sibo, Zoho, Kill Contact. These are tools. There are numerous of them, but just to name a few to give us an overview, these are tools that you can deploy. Sibo is an Oracle tool that you can use. Ticketing. Now, customers would necessarily call us or would interface with us. Either they are bringing in a request or making a complaint, or they are making an inquiry. Whichever case it is, the ticketing tool would help us to track this. If it's a complaint, we will be able to track the complaints that has been made from even a particular customer when we're analyzing the data, or we can even understand per analysis what pain areas customers are experiencing. If you have a ticketing tool that would collate this data, it would also help us to manage closures when it comes to the ticketing tool. And Zendex is one good tool. Jira service management is also another good tool that we can use when we are interested in deploying such tools for ticketing. Omnichannel solutions. Now, omnichannel solutions are a lot also on the market. Now, in this case, we are looking at where customers can connect to us irrespective of where they find themselves, and it should be integrated. We are not looking at, we have a WhatsApp page, we have a Twitter page. No, we are looking at a point where all these ones are integrated and can easily get connected, and agents do not have to switch in between various tabs to be able to handle that. Within a single window, they should be able to interface with the customer. You can have inbuilt IVRs that would also hold the volumes of calls or contacts, if you like, because emails are also contacts that will come in. You can have your chatbots even integrated as well. Now, when you are creating an experience, one key thing is that you want to monitor the customer in every part of the journey. Excuse me, please. Thank you. The customer, you want to understand the feedback the customer has for you. And feedback is very important when it comes to experience. Excuse me one second, please. I'm sorry. Thank you. So we are looking at the voice of the customer. And I will be able to tell the voice of the customer from the service that I do. I.e., the feedbacks that I will do or I will undertake could help me create the kind of experience I want to give to the customer. So if I do not get feedback from my customers, it is more like I'm flying blind. Thank you. I do not really understand what customers want, and I will be creating, I will not be creating problem-solving solutions for my customers. Rather, I will be creating, for lack of a better word, things that would not really satisfy the customer, but it becomes like an embellishment. But we are looking at solving the problems that the customer will be facing, or the challenges the customer faces when he's interfacing with that, or the products the customer will be using. And so we can deploy tools like SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, Jot Forms to understand the customer behavior. Now, if you have customers also interfacing with you on social media, then the customers can call you or interface with you on any of the platforms, i.e., WhatsApp, on X, all those pages. Now, we clearly will need a listening in on social media platform, because on social media, one bad news or one bad comment can trigger a bad image for the brand. So tools like Sprout Social, Hotsuite, and Brand Watch can help you to be able to appreciate what is happening on social media. If it's a negative comment, then you quickly have to step in and help resolve that issue. It's so important because it would affect your brand. The bad news there will not give you the kind of brand attraction you are looking for. Now, my comment here is to say that it is good to have your teams develop all the soft skills in handling customers. But what customers are interested in a solution, they are interested in resolving their issues first time. The whole thing has changed, even from I would go back to the back office and get back to you to first time resolution. So let me quickly run through the personalization strategies. So one, you need to leverage on data. The data that you have deployed must be in use. You must analyze that data and get that data working for you. It should give you insight in building the strategies you want to put across. Now, when it comes to onboarding, for personalization's sake, don't put all customers in one basket. Be clear on how you would handle startups. Be clear on how you will handle SMEs, for example, and big enterprises. When it comes to your pricing, when it comes to the kind of support you provide to them and all that. Be proactive when it comes to customer support. And you'll be able to do that when you have done a good integration of your CRMs, your CRM to your omnichannels. That should help you have a 360 view, or your team have a 360 view on how to handle customers. When it comes to personalized rewards, define the milestones after onboarding. If a customer is onboarded, what are the milestones? Are you defining that based on anniversaries or transaction traffic or the number of times a customer transacts with you, etc.? You should be clear. And that should also give you an idea of how you would want to incentivize them. And then, again, you should personalize the service. People interface with you on different products, on different channels. You cannot have a general survey, because that will give you wrong impression. So you should be able to personalize the service and get feedback from customers. Now, my simple definition here for omnichannel is that all channels are available to the consumer and they are connected. So I can call you from anywhere that I want to call you, including walk-in shops should be integrated. That is if I'm doing a B2C. Now, finally, wrapping up, I am looking at my omnichannel approach. Again, data is very important, and that should define how seamless channels you'll you want to create. The customer journey should be clearly defined. When it comes to the feedback loop, you should clearly define that so that you have insight into the bottlenecks customers face when they are interfacing with you. You should also be clear when it comes to the data which I've spoken about. I will not repeat that again. Now, realistically, the flow of calls or contacts, if you like, as the day goes by, reduces. Now, you do not necessarily have to keep a lot of people in your call center, because there are sometimes you do not have work to be done. And so you can deploy AIs that would handle the after hours kind of situation, so that in the morning when your team is fully resumed, they can do callbacks to these customers. That is on little issues that do not need much interventions. And so the employment of AIs today is very key to handle volumes of calls or contacts that comes in. And I will bring my 20-minute session to a close here, so that subsequently, if anyone has questions, I would answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kweku. Thank you. That was a very insightful presentation. Thank you. I'll attempt to summarize it quickly so we move on. So Kweku touched on, for those who joined us late, Kweku touched on the principles in customer experience, and we looked at prioritizing the customer-centric approaches, which are one, proactively anticipate your partner's needs or your customer's needs. We looked at putting in technology and also having robust data security, because technology comes with having security as well, right? Then we also looked at the strategic approach to creating a good experience. One is to integrate technology very well, have seamless interfaces, and then omni-channel accessibility. Next, he touched on setting up the CX program in the fintech industry, where we looked at defining objectives and KPIs, leveraging technology as well, build a skilled resource team, and then streamline processes so you have efficiency in the organization, and then measure and optimize as well. He looked at the tools needed to create the desired experience. So he looked at the CRM, the customer support and ticketing systems, and gave very good examples, the omni-channel solutions, survey and then voice of the customers and feedback, and the social media listening and then management. Then he went on to look at the personalization strategies for customer experience, which is to leverage on customer data, very important, and customize the onboarding experience so they feel okay. Proactive customer support, personalized rewards, and then personalized surveys as well. Then lastly, he did the difference between the multi-channel and omni-channels and looked at the omni-channel approaches, which is one, seamless channel for customer interactions, customer feedback loops, and then we looked at employing AI-based chatbots. Now, if you have any question for Kweku Obeng, kindly put them in the chat box. When we are done with our panelists for today, we will take the questions one after the other. Kweku, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we'll move on to our next panelist for today. Our next panelist is the divisional head and also a country manager in Sanu, Zambia. She's experienced in project management, business development, and enterprise solutions. She has a master's in management from ESMMT in Berlin. She's an enthusiast in driving digital transformation and enhancing customer experience across financial institutions in Africa. Please help me welcome Albert Abwati. You can use the emojis there to welcome her. Yeah, please welcome her, welcome her. Albert, are you ready?
Hello, Betty. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Let me know when you can see my screen. Can
Okay.
you see my screen?
No, I can see this here.
You can't see the screen yet?
No.
Okay, just a minute. Let me correct that.
Okay.
Allow to share screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
No, I'm seeing you.
Okay, let me correct that.
Okay.
Technology has a way of misbehaving when you need it the most. Okay, let's share
Yeah.
again.
Okay, so whilst you're at it, I'll encourage you. So kindly put your questions in the chat box. We'll take them after the discussion. Those joining us now, this is a presentation. So we've started with fintech customer experience in the fintech industry. Alberta is going to touch on the customer experience in the banking sector. All right, I think she's ready now. So Alberta, you can take over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Betsy. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Pleasure to be here. I think Kweku Obeng has said a lot, so I don't even want to bore you, but I'll go straight into it. So to give some perspective, our conversation today will be about customer experience in the banking sector. This is a space I've worked in for a while now, so I'm quite excited about it. I think I've seen some of the changes and how customer experience has progressed so far. So I'm happy to share my experiences with you, my thoughts with the panel or the team here, so that we can just discuss and have an insightful discussion at the end of the day. So straight into it, I will be looking at these four main topics. I would definitely define customer experience, but try to bring it in the banking context. I will look at the evolution of customer experience in the banking sector. Also, I felt it was important to address some misconceptions about customer experience because we have a lot of discourse going on. And then finally, we'll look at what's next about customer experience because we'll hear customer experience a lot today. So it'll be exciting to know what's next and how we fit into that bigger picture. So straight into it, I'll give everyone a few minutes to read this quote. But whilst you read, imagine how banking works now, even in Ghana or in any other African country, or even in Europe. You realize that it is the same products every bank has. It may be named differently, it may be framed differently, but it's a savings product. It's a checking account. It's a fixed deposit. So the key thing here is customer experience is the one differentiator that can set your savings product aside from the next bank. So that's the key thing we're trying to push here. So that's what banks are now looking at, how to differentiate between product A from bank A and the same product A from bank B. Now, another quote I felt was quite exciting to have, which says the customer experience is the next competitive battleground. Just as I said, we've gotten to a point where products are identical. What differentiates the different banks we have in our space is the customer experience they offer their customers. So a customer would move from bank A to bank B only because of how they are being treated. So now I'll go straight into this definition or the definition of customer experience with this background in mind. Now look at this picture. These are women with different expressions or showing different feelings. Myself, I can see someone who is scared, someone who is shocked, someone who is frightened. I think I see someone who is definitely happy there. Someone looks worried. And that's what customer experience basically boils down to. It measures the feelings of customers when they use your products. So when anyone uses a banking product, how do you feel? So let's take ourselves. I'm using my mobile app of Bank A. Am I frustrated? Am I happy? Am I indifferent? All these are ways your customer experience is being shaped or being formed. So these are the things that banks pay attention to. Every product, every service they bring out there, they are concerned about how it's making their customers feel. Now we'll learn why this is so important to banks. Now for a bank, the first thing is when you have your customer experience right, when you have an effective customer experience, you are sure to have customer satisfaction. I think Kweku touched on that. Customer satisfaction is the reason why customer experience is so important. Now, this is to ensure that your customers are, I'm using an app. I'm satisfied with how the app works. It does exactly what I need when I need it. So that's what satisfaction generally is. Now it moves on to the next point of loyalty. Now, being satisfied with the app over time, if the app is satisfying the need I have when I have that need, I become a loyal user of that app or that USSD or that internet banking from my bank. And then the final one is I finally become an advocate of the product or the service. And most of us have seen when people go on rants on social media about how a bank is treating them. And there's always this one person who would defend the bank. And at this point, you are wondering, does this person work for the bank? Are they being paid by the bank to do this, or they manage the bank's account? But this is when you are able to convert a satisfied customer to a loyal customer, and finally to an advocate of your products, which is key for customer experience. So this is what every bank strives to do, so that every one of us will be an advocate of their products or the service they have. Now, moving straight into the evolution, I feel understanding how far we've come, we would appreciate it. And it would help some of us when we are so upset with our bank, we would appreciate that, oh, we've come far. Doesn't give banks an excuse though, but I think it gives us perspective on where the journey or where we've come from and where we are going to when it comes to customer experience with banks. So the first thing is, I don't know how the generations I have on this call, but if I have my millennials and my Gen X's on the call, you realize that there was a point where SMS banking was big. I think this was one of the things that started was where you send an SMS to this to just check your balance. You send an SMS to get your transaction. So SMS banking, that's where we started customer experience from. Banks realized that there was a need to let customers check their account statements or check their services with the bank without necessarily coming there. Additionally, banks went on the spree of advertising. I think now it's a bit better because when you drive around, you see a lot of billboards that belong to banks. And this was very common then. Over the time, banks then moved to customer service. So imagine that you have these adverts in town, you have these SMS banking going on. Now there's a lot of complaints. How do banks channel those or handle those complaints? Sorry. So now what they did was they put together customer service desk. Some of them outsourced it. And here the focus was to give customers good experience, to give them a forum to be able to air their problems or to inquire about the products they advertised. Then we gradually moved to banks now marrying human resource and technology. So this became an important part of the evolution of customer experience. So this was the point where banks realized that if customers are calling my call centers, they are speaking to my customer service reps, how do I ensure that my customer service reps are efficient? So here you don't want someone pulling a file of a customer before they can tell the ID the customer used. It's about availing the core banking applications to make sure that this can easily be checked with a click of a button. So that's what this step did. And then finally, we moved to understanding perspective and journey. So imagine you have customers that have come through advertising, your call center. Now you're giving them some improved customer experience. So now banks realized there was some data that they had to mine. So basically, banks were realizing that, okay, when customers call me, what are the things they complain about the most? What are the journeys they are most frustrated about? So now banks started to understand which products works for is it my SMS banking? Is my savings products the most challenging? Is my fixed deposit the most, is the product that people are asking about the most? So there was that ability for banks to understand their customers' perspective and journeys. Then banks moved to social media. So social media, here we had Facebook coming up. Every bank wanted to create a Facebook page. They wanted to start interacting with their customers some way, somehow on Facebook. So you send a private message, they would respond. Sorry. And then we went to, now the banks realized that, okay, let's take a step back. we can't only have our customer service personnel being the frontliners for customer experience. The entire business has to be customer focused. So you realize this became a big agenda for every bank. Customers are the important thing. We had the slogans were out there. If you had the opportunity to work in the bank, you'd realize that this was huge. Now we go to the next one where banks were now started to look at the digital channels. So remember that their first exposure to digital is SMS, where they married human resource and technology. Here, banks are rolling out, and within a short span, don't think this is over some years, they were rolling out USSD platforms, mobile apps, internet banking, most recently WhatsApp banking. And finally, we go to banks having, now the conversation changed. We collected data over years. Now there's this data sitting in our databases. We don't know what to do with it. So the conversation switched to data-driven customer initiatives. Banks were now asking, I need to make sure I can target the right person. This data I have, what benefits is this of to me? How can I sell a product even much more? Then finally, we go to the exciting thing. And I think now everybody that, if you pay attention just a little, you realize, even take your morning show on radios, you realize that we've reached a point where banks are redefining their values. You have taglines like, and I won't give examples because I don't want to advertise any bank here, but you hear, you are the one, you in the tagline, be the first person, customer first. And this is a sort of evolution that we've seen banks go through. So the exciting question I have, which we would definitely answer by the end of my presentation, is what's next? What are we expecting to see when it comes to customer experience next? Now, before we go into that, just look at, so what I've highlighted here shows the different instances where banks employed or deployed some technology or digital solutions to push their customer experience agenda. So through data-driven strategies, digital channels, the human resource and technology marriage, and social media. Now going to myths. So before we go into what's next, I thought it was important for us to clear some misconceptions about customer experience. What is this customer experience we're talking about? We say it's feelings, but is everything equal to customer experience? So here we're going to do a quick exercise. So I call it busting the myths about customer experience. So now the first thing is, customers are willing to share personal data for personalized services. Now, what do we think about this? This is actually a fact. So we have a lot of people thinking that customers don't want to share information about themselves. They are hiding. If you are able to assure a customer that you giving me your transaction history over this period allows me to design a product that works for your needs, trust me, customers will share their data. So this is one fact we can put in mind. The next one says customers always want to be amazed. I think this is one of the interesting things about the banking sector now. Banks are looking for the most exciting technology. Everybody wants to jump on it. But trust me, at the core of customer experiences, meeting the customer needs. So here we have a lot of people jumping on, and definitely this is a myth we are busting, because the customer does not want to be amazed all the time. They actually want their needs satisfied first before they move to anything else. The next thing is customer experience is for frontline employees only. I sort of have addressed this already. So, and Kweku did too. The whole business has to be on board. It is the only way you can ensure customer experience trickles from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom. So this is definitely a myth. The next one says technology is a key enabler for customer experience. Now, from the earlier slides, you've learned that by pushing some technological advancements or some technological tools, and even Kweku did mention it, customer experience would be improved significantly. So this is a fact. Now, next we talk about more than half of a bank's customers would tell 6 or more people if they have a satisfying experience. Now, from our conversation about advocacy, this is definitely true. When someone is satisfied, they will definitely be your advocate. Next, about A next point I want us to look at is customer experience is the same for every customer. What do we think? Now, this is, to me, this is one of the biggest myths because every customer is unique. And our ability to identify the uniqueness of our customers means that we can customize the experience to each of these customers. So this is definitely a myth that we're going to bust today. The next is inconsistency across channels cause a strain on customers and the bank. Now, Kweku touched on omni-channels, and this is exactly what we're talking about. Assuming you have a mobile banking app, you have a USSD, you have an internet banking, and anytime the customer goes on these channels, they need to enter a different password. The customer needs to sees different data. So they don't have one point of truth until they visit the bank and pull out a bank statement. There is no single point of truth about what is going on in the account. It can be frustrating. It can be frustrating. So the inconsistency is a fact. Last but one, we say 75% of customers will bank with a bank that provides relevant offers and recommendations. Now, assuming you're sitting down, how many of us get irrelevant SMSs from our banks? You are Muslim. It is Easter, and you are getting happy Easter. Christ came to die for us. At this point, you are just looking at the message and you're thinking, I'm not even going to read it. And this is exactly what is happening. So customer experience is supposed to drive that. So here, we're definitely saying this is a fact. And then our final point here is customer experience is equal to customer service. After all I've said, we definitely know this is a bust. We are busting this statement mainly because customer service is a component of customer experience, but just doing customer service does not ensure effective customer experience. Now to our final part. So what's next for the banking sector? We've seen the evolution of banking. We've seen how the myths or which myths we busted and which myths, which are facts or what is factual about customer experience. So now, before I go into what's next, let's read this quote together. Today, I'll read this together. So it says, the best and only way to improve the customer experience is to understand your customers. The more you talk to them, learn their habits, and observe their actions, the better you can provide experiences that meet their needs. If a bank can do that, they will find themselves with very loyal customers. And I think we spoke about this already. Loyalty means advocacy. Once you have a loyal customer, they will be your biggest advocate. So now the first big thing we want to talk about when we say customer experience is omni-channels. Kweku touched on it, and I'll touch on it again because when I saw it in his presentation, I said, definitely, this is important. So now what we're saying is the next step for customer experience is omni-channels. Now, what does omni-channels mean? And we compared it to multi-channel. Now, multi-channel is, and this is something every bank does now. Banks have multiple channels. You have your internet banking, you have your USSD, you have your mobile app, you have WhatsApp banking for some banks. But what's the experience like? Omni-channels ensures that when a customer logs into bank, channel A, which is the internet banking, they call your call center, they even visit the branch. It is the same experience throughout. Customers don't want to have to repeat the same thing every time they come on any of your channels. So they call center. I think the last time I called one bank's call center, at this point I was frustrated. She asked me for my Ghana card. I didn't have it up front. So guess what? They asked for my date of birth. Then she asked for where I registered the account, the last 3 digits of my address. At this point, I'm looking at, and after all these things, guess the last question she asked me, what's your Ghana card? So at this point, customers do not want to repeat. So omni-channels is a big thing in the customer experience management process. You need to have omni-channels where experience is consistent across the different channels. The next one is personalization and customization. So let's go back to the SMS example I gave. Imagine you wake up and you get an SMS from your bank, and you are a young person. You're now starting life, so you just finished uni. You're going to start work. You're looking for a saving product to practically keep your money. You don't want to have to spend the money. and you wake up and you see an SMS from a bank that tells you what the interest rate is, what this is, you'll be more excited than seeing from a bank, welcome to this bank, call us and open an account. So it's generally here. Now what we are saying is customer experience should move to the point where I can say, this is customer A, this is what they need, and this is what I'm providing. This is customer B, this is what they need, and this is what I'm providing. It's as simple as that. So we need to personalize and customize the conversations for each customer to ensure that the experience is unique for each customer, but is effective for all. Then finally, I want to talk about AI and machine learning. So this is a big buzzword. Everyone is talking about AI, but how does it help customer experience? So for AI and machine learning, here you want to be able to predict your customer's next move. And I think it's all about, take yourself as a customer of a bank. We all have been frustrated in the banking sector one way or the other. We all have been frustrated. But imagine before you do something, your bank practically predicts your next step. And don't be bugged out and say this is scary. No. We're at a point in life where your bank should be able to tell that at this point, Alberta will be looking for a house. So let me offer her a mortgage. Alberta will be looking to buy a new car. Let me give her a car loan. But what we are doing now is we clump all customers together and send them one notice or we sell one product to them. So with AI and machine learning, you're able to actually mine your data, apply AI, and understand that you predict what customers need based on their patterns and their usage of different banking products and services. So generally, I believe that these are the next steps that we'll see customer experience go through in the banking sector. And I'm excited to see how banks in Ghana, Africa, and across the world implement this. Some banks have already started doing this. And then finally, I felt it would be important just to remind us that as we're talking about customer experience, there's some things we need to be mindful of. The first is data privacy. Now here you have the ability to mine data that you have. But remember that you need to ensure that you adhere to all privacy policies or the laws that apply in your country. Because here you're using customer data. By mining it, you may be using it for things you haven't gotten consent for. So you need to ensure you have the right consent. Now, the next is cybersecurity. With technology, this is something you cannot avoid. So it means you need to put in place, banks are putting in place policies and procedures to ensure that attacks are to the minimum and the effects of these attacks are reduced to a point where they do not feel it enough. And then finally, we talk about technology cost. Now, this is quite important to me because based on experience, you realize that a lot of people like to throw technology at customer experience and think they are effective. So here you need, and technology is expensive. I don't think we all doubt that. So here what you want to do is make sure that every technology you put in place, and Kweku mentioned a number of them, be clear what it is bringing to your customer experience, and it is measurable. And in that case, you ensure that you are not just doing technology because Bank A is doing it, so I want to do it too. You understand why you are implementing a technology. So, Betty, that would be it for me. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Alberta. Thank you. Another solid presentation coming from Alberta. So let me briefly summarize this. Alberta touched on the customer experience, and what touched me from the beginning of your presentation was, every organization deals with a product, right? And CX is the only differentiator in this. So as much as you are bringing out very good, solid products, you need to focus on your customer experience as well. And the benefits are numerous. First, it helps in the customer satisfaction, in the customer loyalty, and also customer advocacy. So they become your brand ambassadors. We looked at some myths where she busted some and gave us some facts as well. And what's next? What is next? You need to invest or pay attention to the omni channels. Personalization and customization is a thing now, and we have to leverage on AI and machine learning, which is a big thing and will take us far in Ghana and in Africa. We have to be mindful as we are bringing in the customer experience, making sure that customers are satisfied. We have to be mindful of data privacy, cyber security, and also look at the cost in technology so we can be efficient and effective in what we do. Thank you so much once again, Alberta, for this. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have any question, kindly put them in the chat. We'll pick it after our last presentation. Thank you very much. So we'll take our final presentation. Our next panelist is the CEO of Bambo Insurance Brokers. She's an expert in customer management, retail strategy, and product development across health, life, and general insurance sectors. She's an innovative leader with a passion for disruptive innovation and driving inclusive growth in the insurance landscape. She's an advocate for inclusive insurance. Our third panelist and final panelist for today is Edith Lawson Attinga. Edith, you are welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Edith, you can share your screen, please. Oh, please, let's use the emojis raise hand button to give her a round of applause. Let's welcome her. Let's welcome her. Okay. Can you share your screen? All right. Okay, I can see your screen.
I can hear.
I can
Thank
hear you too.
you very much. I think that Kweku and Alberta have they have basically said everything there is to say. And I'm happy that I'm going last, so I don't have to say much. I'm just going to take you to the insurtech space, or what we call the technology and insurance. Most of the things have been already shared, and so when we get to that spot, I'll probably rush over it. So again, Alberta mentioned what customer experience is, and I think that it was crucial for us to understand what it is, especially for us insurers. As you know, insurance is a very personal and emotional product, and so how people feel about the company or the brand, even from hearing about it the first time, is key. And for me, that's where customer experience starts from, all through to post-policy support. And the goal of every insurance company, or any company for that matter, is to meet and exceed customer expectations consistently, where they are able to foster satisfaction, like my other colleagues have already mentioned, and most importantly, to create a positive word of mouth. So how important is customer experience? Alberta again mentioned most part of it, but I'll just take us through again. I think that if customer experience is properly managed, then clients or customers are likely to be retained and they are loyal. And when they are loyal, because they are satisfied, they are able to advocate about the brand, like she already mentioned, and so spreading the good word of mouth about the company. This in turn reduces your cost of acquisition, because then there's an organic growth for your sales. And then again, she mentioned that customer experience is the true differentiator. In a space where all of us are selling the same product, what actually sets us apart is the experience our clients have of us, or the feeling they have towards the brand. When all of these are put together, clearly, when the customer is satisfied, they trust in us, then we are able to resell to them, to upsell to them, or to cross-sell to them. And so our portfolio or our businesses or revenue keeps growing, and the churn rate is reduced. We are able to maintain our client and ensure that they do not move to the next competitor. So InsurTech, how does it really help enhance customer experience? Before we go into it, let's break it down. What is InsurTech? We've all heard about it. A lot of us say InsurTech here and there, and some of us do, add a bit of technology to our systems, and then we call it InsurTech. But it's not a big, it's not a complex thing. It's actually the combination or the marriage between insurance and technology. What it does actually is to help enhance efficiency, reduce costs, and by cost, both operational costs and then the cost of the policies to client, and improve customer experiences within our sector. So basically, InsurTech is about using technology to be more efficient in our space. So how does it really help enhance customer experience? So starting, when you hear InsurTech, you know that there has to be technology. So InsurTech, helps us to integrate technology where we are able to leverage advanced technologies such as AI. We've spoken a lot about that, big data analytics. And I think that for our sector, which is the insurance sector, big data analytics is key because of the underwriting processes. There are times where you go for a policy and then you pay for it and it takes you a number of days to get the policy document. It's not because that, no one is working on it, because it takes a lot to underwrite the policy. But where we have technology such as big data analytics, we are able to, fast track these processes, or even leverage on Internet of Things where we are able to get real-time information and make quicker decisions. This InsurTech helps to fast track our processes, claim from underwriting to claim and customer service. The second point to be cost efficiency, as I already mentioned, if you're able to automate our systems, then the cost of operations would actually reduce and then, the process is faster. And as it's reducing for the company, so is the price for the policies that our clients are also looking to buy. The third would be enhanced customer services, where we use technology to improve customer journey through user-friendly platforms. Customers are able to compare prices. They are able to get quotes instantly. They're able to select what kind of benefit they want for a particular policy. The last but one will be personalization. So we are able to use data from various platforms, including GPS and wearable devices, to create personalized products for our client. We'll go into it shortly, some of the products that we are able to create with this technology, which has really shifted, the space that we operate in as insurers. Internet globally has given access to people everywhere, from self-service to being in control or being in charge of your own policy. And so again, InsurTech here gives us that access, or that ability to be accessible to our client even at the comfort of their homes. Going into it, some of the innovative products or policies that InsurTech has brought into our space, which enhances our customer experience, will be a user-based insurance. As I mentioned, we are able to use certain technologies to determine the actual usage or the behavior of a client, where we are able to know whether, or they can able to decide that, okay, I want to pay per mile, or I want to pay per usage, or if you are your risk is low per your behavior, you're a good driver, you're a safe driver, your policy can be tailored to your specific needs. And that's what technology is helping us do in the customer experience space. We can also do on-demand insurance, where you get to buy policy for specific things. So you may have 3 cars. You have a family van that you normally use once a year for your vacations. But again, there's no policy that provide for such a short period or for that specific use. And so albeit the presence of insurance, you probably would have bought general insurance quite expensive for that van, and it would just be sitting there throughout the year for that one use within that space. But with technology, you can decide, okay, not to have it, and then have insurance for that particular period and for that purpose, and you will be fully covered. Likewise, health insurance. You can also share your data like Alberta mentioned, and then if you are healthy, it will also go to determine what price or your coverage you can opt for, which will be profitable to your pocket. We have automated claim processes, which is one of the biggest things that has happened to us in our space, because for insurance, claims is actually what we sell. At the beginning, we are exchanging papers for money, but it's when claims actually crystallizes that we are selling what we are meant to do. And so when we have a technology that is able to automate claims and then to significantly reduce the fraud in the system and accelerate the settlement process, this is definitely a win, and it goes a long way to make clients feel the kind of trust that we want them to have within the insurance space. There are many of these innovations, but I just chose this 4. And the last one for me is the embedded services or insurance services that we have that are, already integrated in other services for, a seamless purchasing experience. Going into it, looking at some of the experiences, the customer experiences in the InsurTech space. What does it really bring to us? What does InsurTech do in our customer experience space? It provides convenience and accessibility. I'm not going to go too much into it because I know Kweku and Alberta have mentioned a lot about this, so we'll just run through them quickly. So convenience and accessibility. Our digital platforms allow our clients to manage their policies by themselves anywhere, anytime, and that's where we are. And then personalization. It cannot be overemphasized. Everybody wants something that fits them. We call them relevant products. I just don't want to buy anything because everybody is buying it. We want to have value for money. So whatever it is that we are buying with the money needs to, resonate with us. Likewise, if you are sharing your company information, it has to resonate with the specific client that is receiving it. And so technology in insurance has really pushed personalization, manifest in customer policy recommendation, proactive safety tips, and then targeted communication. Alberta already mentioned, and he already busted the myth that people often say, okay, people are not willing to give information. People are actually willing to give their personal data if it's going to bring them any benefit, if it's going to help provide something personalized for them, tailored specific for their pocket or for their needs. The third will be speed and efficiency. If you look at our claims processing, I know a number of us here probably have had 1 or 2 experiences within the insurance space where you probably submitted a claim and it's taking forever for it to be filled, or maybe you want a particular product and the policies are not coming in time. So with the risk that we are taking on, and as you know, insurance is all about transferring risk. So for the insurer to take on that risk, they definitely need to properly assess, and underwrite the policy. And this takes a lot of time. So with the help of technology within the insurance space, we are able to, speed up this time, the turnaround times, to give our client the satisfaction that they need, and then also be effective with minimum error margins, to provide these services that we are looking for. The fourth one will be empathy and support. I've already mentioned evolution in the banking space. I will just switch a little into the insurance space. Prior to technology, when a client comes to the customer service desk to complain about or to lodge a claim, and they're in that moment of distress, they are sharing their experience, we probably could be busy, taking the data, entering data, and making sure they fill the form and all of that. And that takes us away from the client. Like, we are really not present, we're just doing what we're supposed to do. But with, the integration of technology, now we let technology take care of that, where we become very present and are able to hold the client's hand through that claims journey, which gives them the comfort or enhances the customer experience that they have with, our company. The fifth one will be the self-service option, which is quite great. I call it your fourth leg, basically, where you have to pay individuals to go, door to door. Now, with this service that is being made possible by technology, you can buy insurance at the comfort of your home. In fact, it gives clients the power to take control over their insurance policies. They decide to renew, they decide to upgrade, they decide to so I think someone wanted a question. Okay, I'll just go on. They take control of, their insurance without necessarily going through the contacts, the customer service center. Omni-channel have been mentioned many times, and I think that I'll just go over it. It's the same thing where we are able to create different touch points for our services to our client. So quickly, let me just share with you some of the impact that technology has created in our space, knowing that insurance is not as popular in our space because of the mistrust and all that has been going on. Technology has actually helped us improve the number of lives that we've covered. Why? Because InsurTech in itself actually focuses on untapped market or emerging market, where traditional insurance is not so popular. And so it has really helped. If you look at Bima microinsurance initiatives that have helped to cover millions of lives that are naturally were not covered before. If you look at what Bamboo is currently doing to tap into the informal market, to bring on board people that are naturally not covered, but now through technology and collaborations and embedding policies, we are able to reach this market and so that they can have the cover that they deserve. These are some of the benefits and the impacts that technology in insurance is bringing to the market. Our claim efficiency and processing time has significantly increased. Lemonade, which is one of the leaders in the market worldwide, through their AI-driven approach, have really, achieved this rapid claim settlement through technology, which has fostered trust and satisfaction within, our client or our market. InsurTech to be specific, and then industry growth as well. As you can see, there's a projection for 2034 looking like we're going to hit 143 billion by that time, and the annual growth, the annual compound annual growth is 32%, which means that we are growing faster than we think in this space. Now, some of the personalization strategies that we could adopt. There are two ways we can look at it. What you can do to get what you need to offer that service. So we'll start with, what do you have to do? We've already mentioned some of the tools that you need. I better also comment how important it is to have this personalization embedded in our customer experience processes. So I'll just break it down a little more to talk about what we can do. What can you do? It's important that you get to know your client by name, I think Alberta mentioned that. So rather than picking the phone and say, hello, who am I speaking with? If there's a system that collects data and it's able to pop it up when the client calls, then it's warming to pick a call and say, hello, Alberta, Edith on the line, how can I help you? And then it's easier, the client opens up more and they feel comfortable to speak to you. Clients are not necessarily difficult if there's a communication and if there's a solution, or if they feel they are being listened to. So these are some of the things that help to give them that good feel about the brand. We also need to encourage our customers to create user profiles on our digital platform. The only way we are able to monitor their behaviors so that we are able to create relevant products for them. The fourth would be that we need to keep the feedback loop, where we constantly get, feedback from our client and then analyze and understand what they really need so we can satisfy them. The last one would be to implement geo-targeting to give them personalized experience within their space. So what can we offer if we have all of these things in place? We can offer usage-based insurance. We can also have a dynamic underwriting and pricing, because then we understand, we know who they are, we know their risk levels, so they are already segmented into these categories. We can also have tailored policy recommendation. We can also have behavior nudging and gamification, where we get to have people to do certain things or to keep a particular record for rewards or for discounts and all of that. And in other markets, this really works. And omni-channel again and proactive customer engagement is key in personalization strategies. Okay, so I'm just going to jump over this. So quickly, going through some of the trends that are shaping customer experience in InsurTech. First, it is data transformation. If we do not adopt the technologies that are being offered on the market for our services, then we are not able to understand our client, we are not able to know them even better, we are not able to give them accessibility, we are not able to give them enhanced customer engagement. Now, with that data, with those systems in place, we are able to collect data where now we can ride on data-driven insight. We analyze the data, we have insight as to why the client behaved the way they behave. And then now we can provide personalized products for them and then relevant products for the general market. The very last trend that keeps us going will be our customer-centric solutions, where we provide superior services and innovations. So that will enhance our customer experience, create retention, increase our sales, and then foster brand loyalty. Kweku mentioned some of the ways to measure customer experience, and I wanted to mention just about 5. Betty, do I have 5 minutes, please? Can I go on?
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. All right, so then I'll just quickly run through it. I think it's very important to measure everything that we do. If not, we'll just put the systems in place like our better solution. It's important that we measure them. The first one to be the Net Promoter Score. We want to measure, after all that the client has been through with us, are they likely to recommend our services? That is why sometimes when you go on certain platforms, or maybe you go to the bank, they will ask you to rate them, or would you recommend this service to somebody else? We want to know, without you even saying how you felt about the service, your answer here will tell us how your experience has been with the brand. So then the monitoring process go through the survey, as I mentioned. The next will be customer satisfaction score. And then here is normally done through, on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel about the product? Or how do you feel about the service? And then we know how the customer have, or the feeling the customer have towards that particular service that they have been served. Then customer effort score. How easy was it for them to interact with our services, both in person and online, and then they're able to rate that as well, because we need to consistently grow, and we can only do that through feedback. First contact resolution. Nobody wants to pick a call, like Alberta mentioned, her experience. Talk to one person, talk to the other person, and have to repeat and all of that. We also want to measure how quickly or how were some of these issues solved at the first contact, and that is also help in measuring our customer experience. The very last one will be the time to resolution, and this is down to ticketing. We want to know the time the person came into the bank, and the banks are adopting that now. The insurance companies are adopting that now, where when you come in, you log in, and then we measure the time, and when it's done, the ticket is ticked off as resolved, and then we get to know how long it took for this to be done. So to sum it up, it's important that we understand the role customer experience plays within our space, which is the InsurTech space, and then how we can leverage on technology to enhance these services or this experience for our client. And most importantly, how we can measure to make sure that we keep improving as we move along. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Edith. And you have beautifully summarized it for me as well. I was going to give you a summary of what you said, but you summarized it for me. Thank you so much. That was very good. That was insightful. Now we know what InsurTech means and its importance. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the Q&A session, where I'll be taking your questions now, and Great. Our panelists they are here to answer your questions. Okay, so we'll do this quickly. All right. So our first question, okay, no name here. This goes to all three speakers. Is there any standard approach, or wait, let me come again. Is there any standard approach they are aware of that successful companies have adopted and benefited from that they would recommend for these three industries? So the person is looking at fintech, financial institution, banking, and insurance. Is there any standard approach they are aware of that successful companies have adopted and benefited from that would recommend to the industry? So anyone can start.
Hi, Betty.
Hello, Alberta.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with the banking approach. So
Okay.
putting all our conversations in perspective, so all the presentations that have been done, you realize that the tools or the processes that are used to ensure customer experience management is what cuts across the different industries. But considering that, I think a key thing we've all said is each customer is unique, and the service you provide to each customer should remain unique to ensure that they feel their needs have been satisfied. I won't say there's a standard approach. I think, of course, the tools, the processes we've all described would be the standard into how to will be the standard to achieving customer experience. But it's not an approach that you can say that if I apply A, B, C, D, it means across banking, customer experience will be high. It's actually unique per customer. So customer A, how you treat them to make them satisfied will be totally different from how customer B is treated across industries and even in the industry itself. So that would be my answer to the question.
Okay. Alberta, Eden, what do you want to add on?
Yes, I was just going to add on to what Alberta just shared. Is I think that most importantly, if the entire organization is customer centric, it means that everything that we do will put the customer first. And so then going back to Alberta's submission, it means that even when the client meets with anybody from the front desk to the security man, their experience, even though the client is unique, because it's all about them, we will all just align to make sure that the client is treated fairly, and that would enhance the customer experience from that touch point.
Exactly. Beko.
Okay. So I think my co-panelists have exhausted the points. What is key is that from onset, that is even from the awareness stage, we would be mindful of what we are doing, just like my co-panelists have said. So each part of this customer cycle, we must be mindful of it and be deliberate about what we'll be doing to provide the kind of experience we want to give them. So the standard is you being deliberate, actually. You have to be deliberate. It will not happen in vacuum. You have to be deliberate about doing that. And if you are deliberate about it, yes, then you will achieve the desired results.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kweku. Thank you, Edith and Alberta. Okay, we'll quickly move on to the next question because time is already fast spent. Second question is, what strategies would you recommend in identifying and addressing your customers' pain points to enhance customer satisfaction? Should I read that again? What strategies would you recommend in identifying and addressing your customers' pain points to enhance customer satisfaction? Kweku, you like to go?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the experience has moved from front desk kind of conversation. It's more data-centric now. You will need to have data and analyze the data. Otherwise, you will not even understand your customers. Like we mentioned in the omni-channel strategy, people will be interfacing with you from different angles. You will need to analyze the data from those channels, those touch points. And then the complaints that you get, the tickets, you will need to analyze the tickets and understand your top issues where customers feel the pain, even how they are connecting to you, how difficult it is to connect to you. Maybe, for example, they are fine connecting to you on Facebook, but when it comes to X, they have issues, or they stay in queue for a longer period when they put in a ticket, etc., etc. You will need to analyze the wait time, time to resolution. Those KPIs will give you a sense of where the pain areas are, and then you can put in strategies to improve them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kweku. Let's take our next question quickly. How are digital platforms and mobile solutions making it easier for customers to buy insurance in Ghana? I think this will go to Edith. We're talking about insurance.
I think that one of the first things to do is to make sure that the process is not cumbersome. If the onboarding process is difficult, then clearly no one would be willing to. But if the onboarding process is simple, maybe name, or maybe upload something without going to the next page and all of that, then it's easier for people to buy. The second point will also be the payment system. How are they able to pay? We have seen a lot of collaborations on the market where people are able to pay with their airtime or through their Momo. So, because then if you buy insurance on your phone, then it's only nice, or it makes sense that you are able to make the payment via your phone. So by putting on automated deduction prompts, then it's easier. It goes through your airtime or through your Momo. Aside that, probably just getting the awareness out there as well is key. So I'll just mention these three. First will be the onboarding process, making it quite simple, straightforward. The second will be the payment system should already be embedded in the same device they are buying through. And then the third will be the awareness, where there will be a lot of noise about how to go through it. It could be an educational awareness or the benefit of the policy awareness through any digital platform, be it above or below the line. That could also make it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Edith. Thank you, my panelists. It's 5:01. The plan was to end at 5. I have a lot of questions here. Unfortunately, I can't take them all now. And so I would encourage my audience, you kindly visit our social media handles. We are going to put this recording there. Kindly put in your question and we'll do well to answer them there accordingly. All right, so thank you so much, Edith. Thank you, Alberta. Thank you, Kweku, for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us today. We are very grateful, and a big thank you to the audience as well. I've actually seen second time people joining us today. Thank you for making time to join us, and thank you for also wanting to upskill yourself and know more in the fintech industry. Today we timed out, we're more than the number, so I'll encourage you once again to go to our social media handles and then refresh your memory on what has been taught. As I mentioned earlier, this webinar will be done every month. And so our next webinar will be on the 16th of September. If you want to know more in the topic we are going to talk about, please turn on your notifications, go like, share, and as soon as we get the topic or we share the topic, you'll be alerted accordingly. All right. So without any further questions, it's 5:02 already. I would like to thank you once again. Thank you once again. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in our next webinar. Please do well to join us.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.